What's going on, everybody? It's Marty here from ParanormalTravelGuide.com. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. So, what did I learn about the Japanese? I learned the Japanese have a ton of different traditions, and they have some really cool things that they believe about paranormal. I've never been to Japan. I don't know anything about their culture. This was actually just for me to find out as much as I could about culture and paranormal activity in Japan. I want to go someday. And I figured if I want to learn about a culture, you learn about what they believe about their dead. That's kind of the best way to describe what this project was for me. And I think I'm going to do a series of these where we're going to go to different countries to find out about what they believe in the paranormal. So, in the spirit of not butchering the Japanese language, I'm going to tell you what the English translation to these things are, and then I will probably put on the screen here, if not description, just so you know what the Japanese word is, because I don't want to butcher their language, and I don't really think that they want me to butcher their language either. So the first thing we want to talk about is I believe it's what they think of their I guess God, demons. I don't know what you want to call it exactly. I couldn't find what they were really. I know that Japanese don't have a religion per se, but they do have different beliefs, if I remember right. If I'm wrong, just correct me down in the comments below. I'm not afraid of criticism, so go ahead and let it go and tell me what you think. This is, like I said again, just my opinion and my thoughts of what I was able to learn. So it's an outsider looking in. If I could be wrong, completely spaced, or completely off base, just let me know. So let's talk about yokai. What I learned about yokai is they're kind of like their gods, demons. They're everything. Yokai can be a whole different group of things. They can be evil spirits, they can be good spirits, they can be things, objects. It's kind of really interesting when you start diving into it. It's said that they have, I believe it's like 8 million different yokai that are out there. I don't think there is 8 million. I just think that's what they say. So it's kind of like our infinity and beyond kind of thing. So yokai, what I learned about yokai is they tend to be spirits of someone who's been wronged somehow. There's a couple of stories. I'll actually show you some of those things towards the end of this video, so that you can see what I found about these yokai and what they're all about. I had this thing, it's Prove Your Guts. It's a test of courage. They do every summer. Basically, they find some of the scariest places that they go to, and they participate in this thing during the summer to give themselves more courage. So they find the scariest places, they find the haunted houses, and they go to these places intentionally to scare the living daylights out of themselves to build up their courage, which I think is pretty cool. It's not the same as Halloween for us, but it's similar because they do create like these haunted houses for these people to go in the summertime, whereas we go in the fall for haunted houses in the United States. There's another thing that they have. It's called a gathering of 100 spiritual tales. So it's kind of like a mix between Bloody Mary and a couple other things. That's kind of what I saw it, how I understood it. So basically what the folks do is they take 100 candles, they light them around the house, and they have them in 3 separate rooms, and they have a mirror in the third room. So you go around telling stories, scary stories, and each time someone finishes a scary story, they go into the third room, they blow out a candle, and they look in the mirror, and I don't remember exactly what they say, but once they're done with that, they go back and sit down, and they keep doing this all around until all 100 candles are blown out. So after all the 100 candles are blown out, they're supposedly summoning a yokai, if I remember that right. I'm not sure what the name of the yokai was. I might put it right here if I can find it. But most people, from what I was reading, tend to chicken out before the 100th candle, before they get to the 99th candle, and they just stop it. because they're afraid of summoning this yokai. So Japanese culture is really interesting when it comes to their paranormal. Um, there's a whole history that goes to it. Stories of yokai, I can do a couple of those that I found while I was researching, and I can kind of give you all the descriptions. Again, I can't say all the names. I can't say all the different terms that they're used. If I did, I'm definitely going to butcher them, and I don't want to mess up somebody's language. So here's a couple of stories about the yokai in Japan. The story of Kuchisake-Onna is a famous Japanese legend about a woman who, after being killed, comes back as a yokai. The story goes, a long time ago, there was a woman who was beautiful as big-headed. She was so beautiful that she was courted by so many men. Out of all her suitors, she decided to marry an important samurai. But the rest of the suitors didn't give up. At first, she wouldn't pay attention to them. But her husband had to go to war, and she soon started feeling very lonely. In the end, she fell for the charms of one of the suitors. Her husband had been away for too long, and she was the prettiest woman in town. Tired of waiting for him, she decided she could do what she wanted, so she kept on with her relationships with the different suitors, who were richer, more powerful, and stronger each time. But as we all know, rumors fly, and the samurai ended up hearing a story about a beautiful woman who would only accept the strongest men and went after her. When he heard this story, the samurai's very proud man felt very curious about the girl, even though he was married. One day, the samurai went back home, and he went out for some drinks with his friends to celebrate his comeback. The party went on till late at night, when one of his friends told him, "Do you remember the woman I told you about? She lives nearby." And the samurai, self-confident, decided to go to and court the pretty lady. The closer he got to the place, the more familiar it seemed. But he was under the influence of alcohol. But suddenly, they stopped opposite a nice red door and his friend said, "It's here." But the samurai was speechless. He didn't say a word, and the friend teased him. "What now? Are you going to buck up?" The samurai, very serious now, answered, "This is my house." He then went in, kicking the door, ran to his bedroom, found his wife with another man. The woman's face turned white after seeing that all of a sudden her husband had taken a sword and threw the man he asked with taking that out of his back. The samurai asked her, "Do you think you're beautiful?" Then he held her strongly, put the sword in her mouth, and fully jealously cut her mouth, while the lady wouldn't stop screaming. People say the woman turned into an evil spirit, Kuchisake-Onna, who came back to the world thirsty for revenge. She looks like a completely normal woman, and she hides her wounds by wearing a mask, something really common in Japan. Lots of people wear it to protect themselves from different diseases. Kuchisake-Onna wanders around the streets looking for her victims, especially during dark, gloomy nights. She approaches them and says, "Am I beautiful?" If you're carried along by her beauty and you answer yes, she will slowly take her mask off, letting you see her horrible scars, and then again asks, "And now, am I beautiful?" If the victim gets scared, screams no, the woman will cut her mouth. The victim will bleed to death. The wounds caused by Kuchisake-Onna can never be healed. Others say you answer yes to both questions, but show you are afraid. The evil spirit will go to your door and will stab you to death there. However, if you answer yes twice, calmly and without fear, the woman will give you a blood-stained ruby and then leave. Though they all agree on this, Kuchisake-Onna will leave you alone if you tell her you don't have time, and she will apologize and you will continue on your way. The story of Owiya. There once was a man named Iyamon who was married to a loving, devoted wife named Iwa. He was a Ronin, a samurai who no longer had a master because he had a murderous past, and now he was a poor umbrella maker. Since they were no longer financially stable, he grew to resent his wife. Then his neighbor lured him into an evil scheme. "My daughter Ume is in love with you. If only you weren't already married, you could be with her and be wealthy beyond belief." Iyamon was a garbage human, so he liked the sound of that. So he started planning ways to kill his wife. He didn't want to be charged with a murder, so he had to figure out a way to make it look like natural causes. He decided that he was going to poison her. So the next night, at the dinner table, and he offered her a spoon. It's medicine to help you get stronger, for you and our baby. She was a little hesitant, but poor Oya was so trusting that she took the spoon and drank the poison. At first, nothing happened. But then her hair began to fall up in clumps. Her eyes drooped and began to fill with blood. She fell into a coma. He wanted her to die already. Days later, she awoke. She had almost forgotten what had happened. But then she went to the bathroom and saw what she had become. She had lost her beauty, and her baby. Yaman still tried to keep up his concerned husband act. "Let's go on a walk to your favorite place," he said. So they walked to the edge of a cliff, overlooking the entire town. It really was a beautiful view, and while Oya was trying to take it all in with her blood-filled eyes, he pushed her over the edge. Yaman arranged an elaborate funeral for Oya to throw everybody off his scent. But now that she was out of the picture, he began to plan his wedding with his new bride. "Now I'll be rich again and everything will be perfect," he thought to himself. Yaman thought he had seen the last of Oya. He began seeing Oya's distorted face everywhere. She appeared on a lantern, and so he shattered it. She appeared in a mirror. He shattered that too. But he wouldn't let Oya ruin his new life with Oume. On the day of his wedding, Oya had not appeared. The ceremony went perfectly. Yaman turned to his new wife, but it was not Oume who looked back to him. It was Oya. He drew his sword and sliced her head off. Everyone stared in horror as the head of Oume rolled down the aisle. Yaman couldn't believe what he had done. He ran outside, out to the edge of the cliff, and cried. The wedding attendants ran after him just in time to see a woman push him over the edge. All right, we're back. What did you think of the stories? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And for now, this is Marty here from ParanormalTravelGuide.com. You have a great day, and we'll see you next week.